break the ice right away and do one of the most important scenes, if not the most important scene, on the first day, and just get it all out. Go through that whole process and get to the meat of things.
Does it hurt?
I don't feel much.
Good.
Because it was a night shoot, I had to kind of go to bed really late to kind of get my body used to going into a couple night shoot nights and not be overwhelmed. So I tried to sleep late, but I couldn't. I was too anxious, and I got up, just looked at all the notes. We had prepped like crazy for this, and I went to the forest, which is where we shot this, in this beautiful forest. It was really magical as we began that day, and we did a candlelight vigil before we started shooting. Everybody raised the candle, and it was, I mean, we were all, crying at that point before we even started rolling on a scene where we're doing basically a man and woman's last conversation to each other before she dies. So it was charged. The air was supercharged. And then Mel Gibson comes to the set, and he's in his priest outfit for the first time. And probably when I'm an old man, I'll probably remember that day as a big day. Technically, in chronological order, the first scene that happened in the characters' lives is the first scene that we shot, the mother dying. That happened 6 months ago. But the movie actually starts with Mel waking up and suddenly having this bad feeling about something. And you get introduced one by one to the characters along the way.
Who are they?
And so it was one of those classic James Bond beginnings, an action sequence, get everybody's blood pumping, and then start the movie.
He understands the language of film. And not only that, he really loves what he does, so that he transmits that, and he really wants to talk about it. He has a very good understanding of how he wants to see the story and what he wants to extract from it, technically on film and from performance. I mean, those are things you talk about on the spot. He doesn't settle for the usual kind of, oh, that was good enough.
Come on, let's go. What is that? Who is that for? Let's go.
It's for you.
And he'll even say, well, that was good, but like, hey, I want something else. I want something more. I want something. And you sort of like, okay, you shut it down. And he's picked up on a couple of my shortcuts, bad habits, tricks I've learned over the years to get around most people, and they'll sort of eat it up, but he won't buy it. He's very observant. So he pushes you just a little further to extract something more from you, which is nice. And I know some people will get their noses out of joint by something like that. Say, what, you don't like what I'm offering you? What'd you hire me for? But for me, it's just a great learning experience.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The thing I wanted to bring after Unbreakable was the humor. So this movie, I really wanted to enjoy their confusion about what was happening. Is this ridiculous, or am I the only one? So it was really fun. And then I forgot about it, and as we cast the movie, cast all these amazing, serious actors, then in dailies, when we first watched the first daily, everybody's laughing in dailies, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of funny.
Excluding the possibility that a female Scandinavian Olympian was running around outside our house last night, what else might be a possibility?
So when I saw the kind of the humor rising up and becoming one of the giant elements of the movie, I was really psyched. And I need to, you don't cover yourself up, Rory. You gotta feel the camera. You know how I always tell you about feeling the camera and you keep covering yourself up? Feel that camera and you feel your face.
We actually had a read-through, which is a wonderful thing, which you don't always get. And then we do a couple of rehearsals. But he really uses each take, in a way, as a rehearsal. He gives you so many different notes throughout the different takes that you're allowed to play it many different ways, hopefully always honing in closer to his ideal vision of the scene. But he loves giving the actors all the opportunity in the world to create something that's fresh and original, and it's cool.
There's a great camaraderie on this set for a number of reasons. I think a large portion of the crew have worked on all of Knight's films, and so there's this great sense of community. And Knight just has a wonderful energy about him. He's very soothing, and I think that rubs off on everybody. And Mel is just an inspiration. I theorized that after making 50 trillion movies, an actor would become somewhat callous or dead to the process in a sense. But Mel completely proved that theory wrong.
With Joaquin, he's a terrific young actor. Just doing scenes with him, you get a lot. He feeds you a lot. You can only give it back. He gives a lot, so that's fantastic. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of huge egos at work here.
If I had made this movie 2 years ago, I think I would have done the wrong thing. Because the way it popped into my head was, we'll stay in a house with a family and never leave the house. And it'll be a war of the worlds happening. And I just said, you know what? That's not the correct way to motivate this movie. That is the feeling that I want to get, is the claustrophobia of the house. But don't be so restrained, because I think that organic ideas won't come that way. How can you maintain that spirit and still keep the movie alive? And so I said, you know, let me do this town sequence where they go to town just for in the first act of the movie. They all go to town to try to get their minds off of this weird stuff that's happening. And so it was such a wonderful way to kind of go to town and then have these people separate, and we learn backstory on all of them.
Do you have any books on extraterrestrials?
I am not a reverend anymore.
You've got 2 minor league home run records, don't you?
5.
It's contaminated.
Carl, there's something wrong with our water.
And then they come back together, and we're back to the plot of the crop circles and what does it mean.
What if it's catching a signal from them?
There's always one scene that I write in my screenplays that has a lot of parts to it, and it's often cut out of my movies. And from the moment I wrote the baby monitor scene was like, this is the scene that's going to get cut out of the movie. What can I do to make sure in advance that it doesn't get cut out? Mel, when he takes the baby monitor, put your hand down, and then say, Morgan, I say get down. Okay, here we go. Ready? Are we rolling? And of course, when we went to shoot it, we had all kinds of problems. And then you're listening to the sound. Now you start to slowly look over at your dad's hand who's holding the monitor. I just couldn't get the tone right because it was a very complicated scene. Now go to the up position. Turn, turn, turn. And it really was 3 parts, you know, the interior of the car, the standing outside the car, so we were shooting through the doors, and then on top of the car. It's so fragmented over such a long period of time that you can't tell if it's matching, if the flow is working. And it's a pivotal scene because it basically is the last moment that the family kind of enjoys this phenomenon in a fun way. And it was just a very tricky thing.
There's 2 of them talking.
I'm amazed it's in the movie. Cut. Okay, cool. Back to one, back to one.
Okay, here we go. Very quiet.
People break down into 2 groups.
That was one of those kind of hold your breath scenes because you're writing something that you can't do these days, a 6-7 page scene of dialogue where nothing happens, where they just sit there and talk. So the action and the special effects are all the dialogue and all the performance. And Joaquin doesn't really like to rehearse, so we would just talk about the spirit of it.
Some people are probably thinking this is the end of the world.
And Mel's big speech is so tricky to say because it's like group A, group B, group number 1, group number 2, and you can get really confused, and it's very long, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then we did Joaquin's side first, and he just rocks it. And then we turned around to shoot Mel's side, and he has to go to the White House, his movie that he was making. We Were Soldiers, he was showing for the White House. And I said, you know what? Let's not do this. We'll come back and do this tomorrow. But he goes, we're going to do this scene now.
Group number 1 sees it as more than luck, more than coincidence. They see it as a sign.
It was an amazing moment of a great artist inspiring another great artist who then inspired me, and everybody just getting inspired, and he got up and, you know, you realize why he's a superstar. These places marked in crops and such, none of them are really near water. I don't think they like water. Well, the decision to act in the movie is one of combined terror and desire to try to do more in my movies and be more personal, make the movies more personal, and a desire to express myself in different ways, writing, directing, acting. And I felt like there was this role that I really, really connected to when I wrote it, and so I was terrified to do it. And if I failed this, I would hurt the movie. And the funny thing was, Mel didn't realize I was playing the role. So when we did the scene, he was like, "You're in it." And I'm like, "Yeah, is that okay?"
People who kill reverends' wives aren't exactly ushered to the front of the line in heaven.
On a kind of sad note, the day before my scene in the movie, we shot the movie, my grandfather passed away. And I had a picture of the candle vigil from the first day of the shoot in my pocket, and a picture of my grandfather in my pocket. And we did the scene, and it was like the perfect day. It was the perfect day. I am so glad that I did it for myself, you know, and the movie is much more personal to me because of that. You can keep coming forward, though. It just kind of slows you. That's when you see the shadow. It's moving. Then you say hello.
Hello.
Stop. The pantry sequence was called our swing set because we built that set. And whenever we lost the kids, you know, when I say we lost the kids, it means we only have a certain amount of time to shoot the kids. And if we run out of that time, that's it. By law, that's it. So they go home, and what are we going to do? Well, let's go to the swing set, and we go there and we shoot one shot of the pantry scene. And so we shot that over like 2-3 weeks, one shot at a time. So when you lean in, it's just frustration. You can't see enough. I'm going to do another shot into the door where I see you kind of searching, you can't see anything. Come up, trying to figure this out. How can I get a look at what's in there without getting too close?
The police are here. I'm with them. I am a police officer.
In a comedic way, he's going to go and find out once and for all that this is not a hoax. I had him do this kind of very cheesy TV cop thing. You know, I said, go as cheesy as you can with the cop thing.
Just tell us your name and why you did it, and we'll give you the same deal we gave the others.
And he was just really having fun with that. You want to see, but you're going to go down. Don't step forward. You're just going to go down right where you are. You're too scared to move forward. He leans forward and he goes, "This is ridiculous. I'm not going to put my face right up to the edge of the door." And he gets up and walks away. And there's a great sense of like, all right, now I've played with you, toyed with you on a string this whole time. Now, Mel, I want you to just come back and do everything you just did in 10 times the speed.
What you're about to see may disturb you.
Everybody look out the window until he calls me, ready?
Wake up, wake up!
We had to shoot the Brazilian video, and then we had to shoot Joaquin watching the Brazilian video to make one scene. So there was actually 2 separate scenes there. And the Brazilian video, I knew I wanted it all one shot, so it would look authentic, no cuts and stuff like that. Handheld, and Joaquin just kind of watching from this closet. And now you see it for the first time, but you don't really see it.
Move, children! Vámonos!
I'm so glad it came out the way I had hoped it would, you know, with the electricity of the kids screaming. And I remember when we did Joaquin's side of it, he was doing these amazing reactions here. And then I said, you know, in the last one I said, end up in the coats. He's like, what? And I said, I want you to be in the coats at the end. And he backed up into the coats, and then he watched, and he goes, and, you know, and then grabbed the chair and came forward and all, and I was like, that is definitely in the movie. And when we finished, I was like, check the gate, that's definitely in the movie.
What do you want, Morgan?
Anything? French toast. And mashed potatoes.
Now we're talking.
The Last Supper, we shot so fast because it was just happening for real. And there's the 4 of them at the table, and we have 4 shots to do. And I say, all right, let's start with the little girl.
I had to do this huge crying scene because my brother said that you let Mom die, so I'm crying so much, and little bits of tears were coming down.
She just did a beautiful take, and night called cut, and everyone was just stunned. So then it was like, who wants to go next? And then, you know, who wants to follow that? Well, Rory Culkin goes in there, and then he just tears it up.
She started crying, and I didn't know she could do that. And right when it said cut, everyone put their heads down, was so sad. And
Knight walked over and said, okay, who wants to follow that up? And we all backed our chairs away. And Joaquin would, but then Knight asked me if I'm emotional from seeing her cry. That means I should go next, so pretty much what happened. I was crying because I saw her cry, and it was sad.